Hi there, this is Luisa Heinzel. Welcome to another of my junk journal bucket list videos. It's so nice to have you here and that we can do something together today. In case you're new here, welcome. That's the most important thing. But perhaps you don't know what a junk journal bucket list is. I made a list which is only existing in my head with things that are, like a junk journal bucket list. Things that I always wanted to do regarding to junk journaling, of course. And that are also things where some experimenting is involved. Because sometimes that are things that I have never done before. Things where I thought, okay, I always wanted to try that, or I have to finish this or that or that. Things where I thought that it could be interesting to share them with you, but it's also a relatively egoistic thing because, there are things you have to finish, and if you make YouTube videos, then you need content, and I thought it would be good to film my process about these things so that I can, on the one hand, share that with you, and on the other hand, that I have some videos in a way you have wished for, because you said you want to have some videos where you can say, okay, I have something totally different on my desk today, but I want to craft along with Luisa. That is, of course, a really nice thing. I'm so happy that you asked for that, because that shows again how amazing this community is and how amazing you are. And with these videos, I'm trying to fulfill this wish so that you can, of course, also, I think this page could be perfect, so that you also could take out something totally different compared to what I have on my desk, and you could, just craft along with me, but with different things. Perhaps you also have something like a junk journal bucket list in your head, or things you have to finish. And for those kind of things, these videos are hopefully perfect. So today I want to do something in this journal. And by the way, in case you're new here or you have missed this information, there's also a playlist linked below this video, which is called Junk Journal Bucket List. And in that playlist, there are all of the February videos, so that you can also watch the rest if you perhaps have missed that. I want to do something in this journal today, and that is also something that I have never done before. I want to try out something with a die cut, and I also have some surprises for you in this video, because I made something that I want to use for that idea, but I'm totally not sure which page I want to use. Normally, how do you do that? Do you take out your journal, which you want to, where you want to create a page, and then you choose the page and then you start? Or do you first do the thing, like for example, a collage or something? Collage is not a good example. Do you first make your little ephemera or embellishment and then put it to the page, or do you do it the other way around? Because at the moment I'm not sure which page I shall use, because I don't know which color I want to use today, because I want to make something. You got a little sneak peek a second ago. Have you seen it? That is from my German video. Let's put this aside for a moment and let's first decide about the color and what we want to use, because I got two different die cut sets in two different Happy Mails. One from a German viewer and one from my English viewers, and that is this one here. So I thought I used two different die cuts in my English and my German video. So if you want to see a variation of this idea, that's what I'm trying to say. You can watch my German video as well, because in this video I want to use this die cut here. I'm so happy that I have this, and this is just so amazing. So thank you very much to the person who has sent this to me. And if you are wondering, this is just a quick little note why I don't say the name of the person who I received this from. I do that. I don't do that in general, because some people Luisa, some people don't want that I say their names. yeah, because, you know, of private information and that stuff. They don't want to be identifiable. Is that a word? So I decided that I don't say any names, and I do that in none of my videos. Was that good English? I don't know. I don't want to say the names because I don't want to, you know, break any boundaries. But of course, that doesn't mean that I can't remember who has sent this to me. Yeah? I know the person and I know the name, and I really appreciate this. But that could be like confusing if you watch this and I don't say the name. So that's why I mentioned that. And I want to try this out for the first time today. And I want to do it in a special way. And that is perhaps not what you would normally do. If you would buy or, you know, get a die cut like this as a gift or something, then you would probably first assemble it like it is shown on the package. That is what I would do, because that is the easiest way how you could find out, yeah, how the pieces have to be assembled. But I want to try it differently. I want to know, on the one hand, is it possible to cut this out and not look to the package, but just, you know, do it? Or could that be a problem? And I want to cut this out in really unusual colors from an unusual paper, material-wise and pattern-wise. And I made something for you, which you can find in my shop. And I think that some of you will now be really happy because you've asked for something like that for such a long time. And I had it on my to-do list and I was like, yes, I want to do it, but I have no idea how. But now I could figure it out. And I have now 2 different versions of alcohol inked journal backgrounds in my shop for you. So this is volume 1. I will show you the pages in a second. And we also have a volume 2, which has different colors and also some other things that are different compared to volume 1. Why can this be good? So this can be good if you don't know how to use alcohol ink, if you don't have alcohol ink, if you don't have this special paper which you would need to use alcohol ink to get such effects. I mean, you can use alcohol ink, of course, on different kinds of papers, but you know, this, how is that called? This UPO paper is recommended to use alcohol ink, and then you can probably get these cool effects. UPO paper as well as alcohol ink is, you know, not affordable for everyone. So I thought, for all of you who want to have something like this but don't want to buy alcohol ink or UPO paper, this could be great. I also think that getting things like this and getting backgrounds like this is not so easy. So with alcohol ink, I made the experience that you have to practice that a lot until you can get results like you have on this printed paper. I know that a print can never be the same like, you know, a real alcohol inked paper, especially here where those like golden elements are. You would feel those on a real paper, of course. A print can't do that. That is true. But I think there are some of you who might like this, even if you know that it is a print and when you touch it, you can feel it's a print. But perhaps this is better than having nothing alcohol inked. Yeah. And of course, you could also do some things to these golden portions here. For example, you could emboss these with clear embossing powder or even with gold. You know, just take an embossing pen and follow these lines and then emboss that. Then you have something that you can touch. You could also, of course, emboss the whole thing. And I mean, with, you know, stamping and embossing something over that. Don't follow the lines. Do you know what I mean? You can do so many things, I think, on these backgrounds. And another thing why I have done this is, and that is the same reason like for the last printable I have shown you in February, that was this white embossed set. I have done this because you have a background which you can use immediately without any effort. And that is sometimes something that I really need, because I don't want to focus on the background and on making the background, but on, for example, a technique for adding a focal point or stenciling or whatever. And sometimes it's really time consuming to make the background first. That sounds weird, yeah, because, you know, a background is a background. But sometimes that takes so much time that I don't want to spend that time, or that I don't have that time, and I want to have my background and then I want to put that on there, and, you know, then I'm ready to go. Please excuse, here are 2 pages which I already cut for the German video, but yeah, you can imagine how that was before I have cut it. This set volume 1 has 15 pages. This is unfortunately only available in DIN A4 and not in US letter size. That has technical reasons, but you can easily print DIN A4 to US letter size as well. Just print it, and then you will get like a border which is way smaller than what you can see on this paper. I would say approximately like this or so, and then you can just cut that off or decorate it, yeah, so that you are able to print it, yeah, you can print it to a to US letter size. In the volume 2 there are 30 pages, so as you can see, these sets are not only different color-wise but also size-wise. And in this set, there are also some flowers included. And with this, I was hoping also to make something, but not only with this set, but also with the other set. I was hoping to give you something where some problems could be solved. Because, you know, this background thing. Imagine you have a card. This is big, I know, but can you please shrink this down in your brain so that it looks like a card? Then you sit in front of this white card, or I even have some watercolor paper here. Let's do it like that, because then you can perhaps I can explain better what I'm thinking at the moment, because that is something that I have so often, and this problem is sometimes really, you know, imagine you want to make a card. And you have already in mind what you want to put on your card as a focal point. Let's say you have a die cut. Doesn't have to be this one. Can be any other die cut, or a fuzzy cut image, or like a little cluster, or a tiny piece of pre-made collage or something like that. You want to use that as a focal point. And then you look at this, and then you think, okay, that is nice, but what the heck shall I put to my background? I have to make a background first, because I don't want to put it to a white piece of paper. I mean, if you want to put it to a white piece of paper, you won't have any problems, yeah? But if you want to make a background, you sit in front of this. How the heck can you imagine what to put to the background? Which colors? How busy or how calm can that be to make your focal point work on the card? And I think if you have something like a printable where nothing is lost, if you cut out a portion and that doesn't work, then you have something where you can, like, you know, imagine better how you could do that. Imagine you have your die cut already assembled, and you have already cut that out from another piece of paper, or several pieces of paper, or you have something else. Let's say you have a little dragonfly, and you want to decide which background is the best for my focal point. Then you could place it here. Here, for example, you can immediately see it comes out way better. It pops out way more because the colors are a little bit more intense here than here. You can even decide about the colors you want to use for your background by doing it like this. Or here, for example, look, you can even decide for the position. I mean, I immediately, without thinking, like automatically, have put the dragonfly into this center here. Can you see that? It's like the alcohol ink was applied here and then whoosh, spritzed to the, or blown to these areas here. But here's something somehow like a center. And you immediately put this here. Here you can see, if you like it, or if you don't like it. And if you like it, you can just take the background and do the rest. Or what you also, of course, can do with the digital printable is you can try to recreate what you have here on your plain card. Yeah. So a digital can also be like a source of inspiration, I would say, like something like a color scheme finding tool. Do you know what I mean? But of course, this is also nice if you, if you have decided for the portion where you want to put your focal point. Let's take this back. So for example, you want to place the dragonfly right in the center here of this flower. Then you can see where and how you have to cut to get, to get the right proportion and the right portion of this paper. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is making backgrounds is for me one of the biggest challenges in this world. And especially with alcohol ink, it's somehow uncontrollable and you need a lot of practice, in my eyes, but that's only my personal opinion. And if you want to like focus on the focal point or another technique, then it's great to have a pre-made background, which you can just print out and use. And if you want to, for example, make a set of cards and you need the same background in the same style several different times, no problem with a digital paper, just print it out several times and, cut several backgrounds in the same style. You could even make like a card series by taking, this is a good example. Let's say you take this and you cut it into 4 pieces. Then you would have 4 backgrounds with the same color scheme in the same style, and you could put different, for example, quotes or focal points on that, and you would have a series of cards which you could then use for, sending them to your friends or use them in your junk journals as journaling cards or whatever. When I say cards, I also, of course, mean journaling cards, not only greeting cards or something like that. This page is one of my absolutely favorite pages of this set. And this page also shows that you can use these pages in different directions. So for example, if you would take this, imagine this was a junk journal page and you would have folded this in half. Then you could use it like this. And you would have then these pages like so, and the flowers are here on the top. You could also, of course, turn it around and then use the pages like this. So in the most cases here, you can flip the pages so that you have more possibilities. And with this page, I think it would be really worth it to make a soft cover journal with this page. Imagine this printed on canvas, then you could make the coolest cover out of it. And this would look really great on a junk journal cover, I think. But of course, you can use this for whatever you want. You could also take the pages and make your own ephemera out of this. Just cut portions out and, you could easily cut tags out of this. Just choose the portion and cut in a rectangle first and then cut the corners and then you would have a tag. Yeah. And I also made something for you for free, which has to do with this set and the other one. I have put 2 freebies to my website as a little surprise for you on the one hand, and that has another reason. I always, I don't want to say that I overthink the things, but I want to give you some things that have advantages and that are, if you get a freebie, then that is nice, but I want you to have some advantages additionally as well. So that has another reason. Of course, I want to give you something to celebrate February, and I have promised that I have some surprises for you, and this is one of them. But it has another reason that I have put 2 freebies to my website. So let me explain that. You can find one of the pages from Volume 1 and Volume 2 of these sets here on my website for free. The link is down below in the description box. Go there, download it, be happy. But if you think I'm new to digital paper and I don't have any idea if my printer is able to print something like this. Then those alcohol inked pages can be really helpful to find that out, or to play around with the settings of your printer, because these pages are really colorful. This is, I would say, not like a normal printable, yeah, because this has so many colors, so many details, and it's a difference if you print something like this or, for example, like a ledger paper, yeah, because I think the difference is really obvious, isn't it? With colors or like really extreme details, it's a difference for your printer than having, like, for example, yeah, a piece of paper like ledger paper with some numbers, with neutral colors and like rough details, like you know, this ugly writing or something like that. It's a difference to print that, and I want you to have the chance that you can try out if you like this, and if your printer can handle that. And I don't want you to go to my shop and buy something where you are not sure if that is something for you or if you like that. But I want you to have the chance to try it out before you buy it. You know what I mean? And for that reason, I've also made those freebies. So please feel free to go to my website and download them and try to print them out at home if you're not sure if you want to buy something like this. I always print, and I say that I feel like a broken record, but I have the feeling that some people have missed that information. I always print on matte photo paper. That means this paper is completely matte, yeah, no gloss or something like that. It's matte, completely matte. When we hear photo paper, we sometimes think about this like glossy photo paper where we print photos. So you know what I mean? So in the past we have printed photos like this, for example. Oh, these are my grandparents. So this is Luisa and this is Heinz, and this is why I am Luisa Heinz. So this is my grandma and this is my grandpa. And here's even, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I just have to laugh. Holy moly, this is so crazy. I just, oh my goodness, I need coffee. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here with me in this moment. Oh my goodness, I have to cry. This is just so amazing. I just wanted to say that, that normally if we think about the word photo paper, we think about something like this, like a glossy photo, like we have printed it in the shops in the past, you know, before we had the possibility to look to our photos on our smartphones, when we printed these to put them into a photo album. And I just remember that I had some photos of my grandparents right here, there in a drawer. And so that I could, you know, show what I mean with glossy photo paper, or like what we think when we think photo paper. And this was coincidence that I have taken this out. But do you know when this photo was taken? Oh my goodness, this was. And there are many other, I mean, that's not true. That is just not true. Let me show you. I want you to see this. How does Tim says happenstance? It's not coincidence, and it's just crazy. I have this basket full of vintage postcards and photos and that stuff in my drawer, and these are like just, you know, normal postcards, yeah, but like vintage photos and that stuff. And somewhere in here, in this whole thing, there are some photos of my grandparents, because I've just put them in here because here are my photos. And they are here, look. And they are not from the same day. This is just so crazy. And I've picked this. This is way older. This is me. This is my brother. And these are obviously my grandparents. This was on just a, you know, random day. Yeah, I think this photo is from the same day like this, because my grandma has the same clothes. This is, oh my goodness. I didn't want to interrupt myself showing you the printables, but this is just so crazy. This is the last photo that I took from my grandpa. He was already really sick here. And this is, I think this was, yeah, it was, yeah, the next day something really, really bad happened. And on this evening, he told me that he will pass away. He already knew that, and he talked to me about how he wants to have his, I think the word is funeral. Is that the word, when all the people are, you know, at the place where the people, you know, I think it's funeral. And you know why this is so special? Because I haven't looked at these photos for such a long time, because it's so hard for me to look at them. This is really old. This is my grandma. I mean, the same grandma like this one here. I have two grandmas, of course. This is yeah, you know her name. This is Louise, this is Heinz, and these are my other grandparents. The parents from my mother. This is my mother, and this is me, and this is the sister of my mother, so meaning my aunt. This is, you know, why am I showing you this? I show you this because, holy cow, I show you this because this is just so crazy. You can see here are like random pictures, yeah, they are from different times, and this one photo was taken when it was my grandma's birthday. And do you know which day her birthday is? It's February the 4th. It's the same like my birthday is. And when I celebrated my birthday on February the 4th, I had no time to make what you can see here on this plate. It's a salad made from lentils and these little green things. We don't need Spanish here. We need English, please. Erbsen. Peas. Yeah, that's the word. That's made from lentils and peas. And when my mom made this salad for my grandma's birthday, she was freaking out because yeah, because when she made it, the salad looked like vomit. And she told me, she asked me, can I put this to the table, or will the people think that someone has already eaten this salad? And I find that always so funny, because it was really delicious, but it looked really terrible. On the picture, you can't even see this. But when the people started to take something from here and put that to their plates, you know, this empty plate and it has fallen a little bit to the plate here, because, you know, it got more empty, then it looked even more like vomit. And because of this memory, I wanted to make myself something with lentils as well. I couldn't find the time to do that on Sunday when my birthday was, but I had something really similar the other day after my birthday, and now I have this photo in my hands. It's just so crazy. It's just so crazy. And this was such a special day. And this was taken on the birthday of my grandma. Yeah, and we are celebrating my birthday. What the heck is this? And I have chosen my social media name. Perhaps some of you also don't know that. My real name isn't Louise. Yeah, in the meantime, I feel like it is my real name, but it's not the name my parents have given me. I have built my social media name. It was originally meant like, you know, an artist name, with the help of the names of my grandparents, Louise and Heinz. My name is Heinz. My artist name is Heinzel, because I wanted to let it sound a little bit like Austrian, because I live in Austria now. So that is the reason, and that is the story behind that. And, you know, they are special people to me, and I haven't thought about this and about this photo for such a long time, and now I want to talk about something totally normal, and this happened. I'm really hoping that I haven't bothered you now, but this is just something so special, and I think we have to appreciate moments like this. And I'm just thinking, shall I cut this out from the video? No, I will definitely leave it in here, because we are human beings, and what we feel, I think we should also share that. And if someone is out there who now thinks, what the heck is she doing? Why is she crying? Why is this? Please, then go away. If that is nothing you can handle, then please go away. Because there are so many of you who, where I already know what you will write in your comments below this video about this situation. And because of that, and because of the friendship that can happen between you and me, because of these things, I will leave it in here, and I will appreciate this moment, and I will not cry again. Holy crap. This is glossy photo paper, yeah? And if we think about photo paper, we perhaps think about something like this. But this is matte. That is what I wanted to say the whole time. Yeah. Oh, okay. So don't become confused if someone tells you to print digital files to photo paper. They always talk, or in 99.9% of the cases, they talk about something like this. It's completely matte, but it has, and it has a special surface which your printer can handle to give you colors like this, contrast like this, vibrancy like this. It is possible to print something like this on normal copy paper. Yes, you can do that. And the back of this, by the way, is normal copy paper. So that's the reason why I always try, when I have this kind of paper, to print something like neutral, for example, ledger paper, or something brownish, beige, neutral, without the need of having colorful images, without the need of having so much contrast or so much details or something like that. I always try to think about that before I print, because of course it is possible to print to normal copy paper, but on normal copy paper you would never get these colors. It will always look like you had like a really like a tiny gray fog over it. And the most printers do that on normal copy paper, that they soak the ink then like so much. I think that's the reason that it looks like there was some kind of distressing or something like that over it. But of course it's possible. And if you don't want to use copy paper, if you don't want to use photo paper, or you only have copy paper, go to my website, download the freebies, and look how it looks on your copy paper, and if you like it. There are also people who say, I use copy paper on purpose because I don't like these extreme vibrant colors. That can also be a reason for not using photo paper, yeah? But also these tiny like little things here, they come out way more detailed on such a paper like on copy paper. That's what I was trying to say. And if you, after my little emotional second here, or let's say minutes here, like this, and you want to have this, then you can get this with 43% off in my shop. That is also a little gift for you, because I celebrate my month of birth here at the moment. You can get that discount with the help of this code here. You can just take this and put that into this little box at the end of your order to get the discount. I'm really, really hoping that you like this and that this can be helpful for you. Oh, so I think now I need to make a little break before I can do what I want to do here. Holy moly. I think I need a fresh coffee now. Oh, here I'm back. I have a fresh coffee here. You can find the links to both of these paper packs here down below in the description box, of course. And I have brought something else to my table here from my kitchen. Barbara, please close your ears now. Because I I haven't had breakfast yet, but I got this. I got this from one of you. And this is something so special. As you can see, it's See's Candies. And if you know me and if you follow my channel, you know what See's Candies is for me, and that it's not available here. But I got this, and when I opened the package, I was screaming, and I couldn't believe it. And when I opened the package, Gary was with me, and there have been other things in that package. There was also a distress ink pad, and he was like, why the heck are you ignoring that ink pad? I mean, that's a beautiful color, yeah, isn't it? He said, here, look, a really nice purple. Why are you ignoring the ink pad? And I was like screaming, running through the kitchen and holding this in my hands. And there have been even 2 of these in the package. And also a See's Candy bag, like, you know, a plastic bag, and some of these little lollipops I have shown you during the last December. And I was screaming, I was running around, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have See's Candies, I have See's Candies. There are more of these lollipops, and I haven't opened this yet, of course, while I was running and screaming. And I was like, I'm assuming that this is like the See's Candies chocolate. I've never had that before, and I was like freaking out. So thank you so much again to the person who has sent this to me. And I think this is the right moment to have, oh, this smells so good, to have another one of these. And as you can see, some are already missing, but I have sworn to myself that I will take one in a very special moment, then wait for the next special moment and take another one. Let's take this one here with these little, let's take this out as well, otherwise I will have chocolate on my desk in a second. And I can tell you, if you don't know these or See's Candies at all, try to find that stuff. Just try to find it, because it's just so amazing. Sometimes when I have chocolate, like this selection of different chocolates, and when I buy that here in Austria, everything is like, you know, it tastes like sugar, pure sugar. And this chocolate taste is so like low somehow that you don't have the feeling to eat a piece of chocolate, but you think you are eating like a little block of sugar. And with these, it's just so different. It's just so amazing, and it's always such a surprise what's going to be inside here. So let me take a bite. Oh my goodness. Oh. And I'm sorry. Another thing is, you can you taste this chocolate thing and this white stuff in the middle as well, and it's not like mixed together taste wise. So you have the feeling that you have 2 different things in your mouth at the same time. That is really crazy. I think this is something like milk cream. And I'm just remembering, there was also like a catalog in that Happy Mail. I couldn't find the time to flip through that, but perhaps the catalog tells us what this is, because I really don't know. Let me pick that up. And I mean, how cute is that? Oh, what is this? More! Oh my goodness, I haven't even looked at this because I haven't had the time. Oh my goodness, how cute is that? More of these, oh my goodness, more of these bags. Because I, you know, oh, what is this? How cool is that? And for what the heck is this used normally? That feels really interesting. Oh my goodness. So is this maybe, and this is really cool. I think I have to make a Seas Candies journal. Can we find out? Is this perhaps the page? Time-honored traditions, assorted chocolates. But how to find out which of these I just had? It looks similar to this, but I think it isn't this. It is, I think it's not this one. How cool is this catalog? Oh my goodness. There are cups. Oh, I'm so sorry. I mean, if you haven't had this, you probably can't understand this here at the moment, but are these the things? I mean, that sounds so weird, but I have never seen something like this before in my life, and especially not in real. I mean, this is a photo as well, but are these the little tiny things which inspired the ideology candy thingies? And these things from the lollipop things? I mean, I know these, but I guess that this is the kind of candy which inspired these little ideology clay candies. So where are you? Where the heck is this thing I just had? Because this inside thing, this cream, I can't really tell, but where's this round box? I can't really tell what that was. But this is the same catalog, isn't it? Yeah, but then, I mean, at first glance, it seems that it was the one I just had on this one page. What am I doing here? So perhaps it was this one. Milk Bordeaux Creamy Brown Sugar Soft Center. Creamy Brown Sugar Soft Center. But that doesn't tell anything about what ingredient this center is. Well, I will try to find that out later, because I don't want to bother you. But if you haven't had this kind of chocolate yet, try to find it. Please, believe me, just try to find it. I mean, if you hate chocolate, then don't do that, but... So, shall we perhaps just do what I wanted to do? Perhaps that is a good thing. So, I want to use portions of the volume 2 of the alcohol inked papers, and I want to first choose a background and then cut this flower out from this paper, meaning the background and the flower shall be cut out from the same paper, so that we have like a mono kind of color palette in the end. But for that, I also want to find something where I can imagine that the size of this flower could, come off here, could fit really well. So I think that this is the base shape, and these are then cut at the same time with this one die cut, but you have to take them and place them on here. So meaning approximately this is the size of the flower, and this is the size of my page, meaning I think it would look good if we would have the flower on like a left corner of a left page, somehow like so that we have negative space here and that the flower is like sitting here in the corner, so that we could even perhaps think about turning the flower into a tuck spot or something, because it really has the perfect shape for doing that. Meaning we would have to choose something which has like a bit of negative space on the top, perhaps also from the colors here. And with that I also want to show you how I would do that, what I tried to explain a few minutes ago with this like background, pre-made background kind of thinking. Do you know what I mean? So for the flower itself, shall we try this? I mean, the center of the flower is going to be covered up. I mean, the center of this piece, yeah, is later on going to be covered by this, meaning this is what we are going to see later. The yellow piece and the brown piece is glued on this gray piece. We should have that perhaps a little bit in mind, but I think if I imagine and if I try to look through the metal here now, I think this could be really great, because even if we glue the center pieces here later, we would see that the colors from this dark or more intense center go like this. That could be a possibility to cut it from this paper. And if we use this for cutting that, I mean, we could even try to cut it from here. Do you know what? I will cut that from several different papers and then see what I like the best. I think this could also work really, really well. And then we would need something for the background piece, meaning I want to have something that is like really similar to these, to get this like monochromatic, what is the word, look to that. Perhaps even this pinkish one. Let's see. We could also take another flower for the background, or several flowers, and then put the other one on top. So what about this page? Let's see. I want the flowers for the background to be a little smaller, so I won't use something like this, because then the background flowers are the same size or even bigger than my die cut is, and I think can look interesting, but perhaps not the best solution. We could also think about these. Nope. Let's try to take this page. Let's just try it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take this paper and then decide for the portion I want to cut out to create a background here. That means I can take can I take any page that I want? No, they are not the same size. That is not so good. So let's see where we have colors which could fit. I mean, this journal is relatively like different from page to page, really different colors in here. That's good, because then we have some options. If you want to know how this little weird journal came to life, then check out the description box of this video. I have a playlist that's called Extreme Junk Journal Experiments. Barbara, it will take me a while until I until I can say that word right. But there you can find out, in that playlist, I mean, how I made this journal. It went through different stages, I would say. Look, this is perfect. We have, if I cut this here, we have this flower and this flower, negative space here, and the third flower here, when we have the die cut out and assembled. So let's take this portion. I'm going to cut a piece out of this paper here now, which is a tiny bit smaller than my pages. I do that for a reason, which I will show you in a second. So let me quickly cut this out. So here we go. If you are new to junk journaling, then you might perhaps think, what the heck is she doing? The colors are really like crazy. But for this journal, I want to have it exactly like that. As you could see, the pages are really, you know, different. Some are really dark, some are really bright yellow, some are more muted. And I want to use my printables and other materials to decorate this journal and to make that even more extreme. This like color rainbow thingy, yeah. But when I have this page, on the one hand, I can see that I like the colors together and next to each other. I like that. That's personal preference. But to have like a cohesive look through the journal, I like to take a page like this, which has really different colors compared to this, and leave a little frame of this page around the paper. Meaning, if your eye goes to this double spread here, you can see this frame, which has like nearly the same color or similar colors to this page. And then this whole thing gets one somehow for the eye. And you have a better connection than between the pages, I mean, than if you would take this and just cut it exactly the same size like the pages. And another thing is, it's easier to glue if this is a little smaller. And now we can take this and we can work on this paper, and then later on we can glue that into the journal. So the plan is to put the flower here, and to know what looks the best, I will take this to my die cut machine now, and I will cut it from this piece of paper here, trying to get the center of this flower to the center of this. And I will cut a second time with this paper and try to get the center of this flower here. And then we can see if this can work, if we have like so similar colors and put everything like, you know, in the same color scheme on top of each other and assemble that. Yeah, so I will quickly cut this out, and I will probably also cut these things out. We need these as well, don't we? I think this is going to become really, 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 really nice. So these are the base shapes cut out from both of the pages, and I think this already looks really great, even if you wouldn't take the other pieces and glue them down. That is something that came to my mind while I have cut these out. Sometimes you just perhaps want to have a flat layer of something. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a die cut. You could also imagine this kind of thing with, for example, fuzzy cut images or like shapes you have cut out from somewhere. This could also have come from a magazine page or something like that. And if you want to have something really flat because your journal is getting already relatively bulky or something like that, then you could also, you know, do it like this, and you don't need to glue the other pieces on top. Yeah, so especially with this one, I mean, I will do something to this flower in a second so that we can see that better, and the shape of it. But look how cool this already looks. Or if you take just a normal card, this is just some watercolor paper, and you imagine to put that on there, I mean, you would probably do something to the background as well. But even if not, imagine, put this here, put a little sentiment, some splatters, and your card would be done. To be honest, I haven't expected that it comes out so great. Really cool. And I'm a little bit afraid of gluing the other pieces on top here, because then the center of the flower will of course change, but we will try that. So what I want to do is I want to assemble both of these flowers with the rest of the pieces I have cut out from the digital paper, and then I want to look which flower looks the best on this paper, and then we have two, and the other one we can put somewhere else in the journal. So the first thing I think we should do is we should decide if yes, how we want to ink the edges of this. I have already taken out some Distress Oxide inks, as you can see there, and I have picked some colors where I thought it could look great. And I think, I mean, you could of course ink these with like brown-ish colors, but I want to try something else. I want to try to ink these in the colors they already have, meaning I have picked raspberry, because I think with these purple colors that looks purple, with these pinkish colors that looks really nice, and I want to have a little bit of this oxide effect around the flower. But I'm taking this kind of brush instead of a finger sponge or a tinier tool like this. I did this on purpose because I don't want to go into these areas to the tip of this slot here. Why? Because I think here's already so much going on this paper that it's enough to do it like this on the one hand. And on the other hand, I want to have something like really like an outline, but invisible somehow. Don't know if that makes sense. I also picked Kitsch Flamingo because I thought here on this purplish color that could look great, so that we get a bit of a contrast somehow. I mean, I could take, for example, Villainous Potion here, or something like here, Victorian Velvet would look great, I think. But I want to go in a little like different color direction so that we can see this outline. In the German video, the paper was a little different. There I tried to get as close to the color of the paper as possible, but I think it's even better if you don't try that so extremely. So let's blend this also a little more so that it looks, perhaps we can even do it like this so that it gets a little like foggy. I know that that is not so extremely visible, but it is there, and that's what I wanted to have here. So let's see, on this one, perhaps here we should also pick raspberry, and for the blues here I have chosen Salty Ocean and Mermaid Lagoon. So let's perhaps try with start with the blues, so that we can also, I mean, here it's not so much blue, you know, only a few areas, But perhaps we can get a bit more blue by doing it like this, and by going over this with the blue and just make it look like the blue was there on the paper before we cut it. Like this. Oh, that fits nicely to the purple there. So let's take some salty ocean for this area here. And if you don't have those colors, perhaps you are, you know, like many people are, and you only have brownish or more neutral ink pads, then please try that with those, and please use what you have. I think that can look really nice as well. This doesn't have to be like this crazy color rainbow thing. So this is again picked raspberry. That looks nice, I think. Okay. Let's clean this off. And then let's see what to do with the other pieces. Oh my goodness, I need the package. I need the package now. So let's first perhaps look to the center of this, because that is easy and easy to identify. So these are the pieces we need for the center. This would then go on here like so somehow. Yeah, and even with this spieler, oh my goodness, even with these tiny things around, it looks really great. Oh. The good thing, when you cut out these from different sheets of paper and you have several centers, for example, then you can, you know, switch them and see what you like better. And I would say that this is even better, especially here. This looks way better when this is lighter somehow. I can't explain that. I don't know why. And then we should perhaps go with this one here, because then we have more contrast. And with this here, so that we here also have more contrast. And these pieces here, they are these. And then I have to look against the light so that I can see there's little embossing where you can, I mean, these pieces here, they all have these little embossed lines where you can exactly see where to place the other pieces. That is really helpful, but I think you can't see that in the camera so well. Okay. And now I want to see how much we would cover up, especially on this flower, if we put all of these pieces on top. Because here, in this case, we would cover up a lot of these tiny thingies there. What do you think about that? It still looks great somehow. What we also could do here is we could leave this out and just take this one. But that looks then somehow a bit weird. I mean, who says that we have to put it there where the embossing is? We could also do it like this. I'm not sure if I like that. I think I like it better when this is here, because it gives more freedom somehow for this piece. Yeah, not sure. what is this? Ah, this is the second flower. This is this thing here. I'm not totally sure if I want to use these on the page because I want to focus on this flower here. But we still need this and this. But we can, I think we can take these out later when we have made the decision about the rest. So these little leaves here came out really nice as well. I thought a little bit about how I place them to my paper, because here, for example, you can see I've placed the die cut so that the leaf gets a little bit of this red and a little bit of this blue, which makes it really interesting. Here you can see perhaps even better what I was trying to do with this little like vein, is that the word, in the middle, and that gives it a lot of like light and shadow just without doing anything, yeah, just by itself, just by cutting it. That is nice. What am I doing here now? I think we can even decide for the color of these when we finished this, because they are just one layer and we can decide where to place them later. What do we think about this? I'm just trying to find out how I can make these guys here more visible, but at the same time stay in this monochromatic palette. Here it would make sense to go around with blue. Let's take some Salty Ocean and try this here, just with a little bit of this color, and let's see if that pops out. And when I do something like this or something similar with die cuts, then I really like to have two things laying here. I know that I like this not so much like this, yeah, and this is like, you know, it has the potential of becoming a masterpiece. So this I can use as my experimenting piece. So if I ink this here, for example, and I don't like it, then I haven't ruined my masterpiece. Do you know what I mean? That is interesting. Let's take this piece and let's put some Mermaid Lagoon on here to make that stand out a little more. Why not? Why not? But what I really don't like is this center. This center. What if this top piece here was black? And what if this piece was more like a solid color, like here, because this purple here of the second layer is way more like, you know, it's solid, it's really calm compared to this one. I will quickly cut out these little guys here from black paper and then we can see if that helps. A really important thing in this stage of the project is to take another chocolate, place this here. Let's see. So what I just thought, this is busy. It looks better when it is calm. Black is calm. This is contrast. What the heck? Can you see how much difference that is and how much better that looks? Holy cow. And here I want to try it the other way around. Yeah. This is, and this way you can also compare, like, you know, focus your view to the center of this, and then you can compare what you like better by having it directly next to each other. Another possibility would now be to take this piece and the black piece, because somehow I think that this color fits better here, because it's the same color or nearly the same like these. It comes closer to these pieces, and I think that looks even better. Yeah, I really like that. It looks somehow weird, but I like it. Okay, that's it. And I haven't even had the chocolate. I mean, that is also a little bit weird. Here, I like the blue on these pieces because I have the blue here. Here, it could be a possibility to take this purple and ink these pieces with purple. Or what we could also try is to get the inking lighter by taking Kitsch Flamingo. I think I want to do that because then it also matches this inking we've done on the first layer. We could even, do you know what? We could even try to calm this down a bit by dabbing the whole piece. Even if this is oxide ink, you would still see a bit of the pattern of the paper through this. Can you see that? It's not completely covered up. I think that could also look good. Oh yes. Oh yes, can you see the difference? Oh, let's do this here as well. But shall we do that to the centerpiece as well? Then it gets really light. Oh no. And then we should take the piece that later on will go here as well, so that we can do the same treatment on that. I think here is something missing as well. Yes, there's such a tiny piece. Come on, this one, which has to go here, like so. Okay, let's take this. Let's first do the edges. Or this, it's not edges, or is it? Or how is this called when it's so wonky? I mean, it's not straight. Is that still an edge? I don't know. Yeah, but I think I want to leave this intense color of the paper there, because otherwise we get a problem. Then it's not enough contrast. But I like this and this and this, but this here, it doesn't stand out so much. Do you know what I wanted to try? We have a lot of black here in the center, and I want to add some black splatters later to connect the colors with black, because here we don't have any black, just a few tiny spots, but I can't really consider this as being black. But what if we cut this out again and make like a shadow layer behind this and this and this and this. I'll be right back. So here we go. This is this one. This is, by the way, just some regular black watercolor paper. That is the solution. Yep, that is the solution. So what does this show? In the beginning I thought I don't want to use black, or just, you know, the tiniest amount of black, like for the center and for the splatters, for example. But during such a process, you of course can change your mind. And sometimes, why am I talking about this? Sometimes I have the feeling that people think if I have a plan in the beginning of my project, or I wake up during the night and then I have an idea and I have a clear plan, then I have to stay with that plan during my whole process. And I think many people are a little bit afraid or something to change such a plan during the process. But why? There is no need to stay close to what you have had in your head before you started doing this. And sometimes I also have the feeling that if you do YouTube, you are in this like little like yeah, this how is this little animal called, which is the whole day running in this spinning wheel, a hamster. Holy moly, Luisa, it's the same word like in German. It's hamster. And it's like when you do YouTube, it's like being in a hamster wheel somehow, sometime, not always, but you know, you have to think about the title for your video and blah blah blah, all of that. And what is this? And with that you can, oh no, okay, now it's a little bit more distressed than I thought, but okay. You want to think about a good video title, yeah, when you make YouTube, and you want to give like somehow a structured video. And I always have the goal that of course you can follow as easily as possible what I'm doing here, but with that, at the same time, you also get some pressure somehow, and that can be the fact if you do this whole thing without a camera as well, I think, because when you have a plan and you think you have to follow this plan and there's no other way than following that plan, then you put pressure to your own shoulders somehow, and then sometimes perhaps you don't have fun anymore with what you are doing there right now. And that is, of course, I mean, that can't be the goal, yeah? So that can't be good. That is the one thing that I think it's good to change plans during such a process. But on the other hand, I also want to thank you that I, at the moment, can do this here like I'm doing it, these February videos, because, yeah, I don't want to go too much into detail, but I have told you about my problems I had at the end of the last year, and I was really struggling with finding ideas and doing this whole thing. And you have given me so much strength and the ability to look into the future with totally different eyes then I could do that before reading your comments. I'm just realizing that I can rub off some of the oxide effect here. I will do that. That is the good thing about photo paper. The oxide effect dries not so fast on photo paper, and then you can do something like this, and then you can get like, yeah, how can I say that, negatively inked edge, or I mean, I've rubbed it off. Gives it more dimension. And with your comments, you've really encouraged me to go on. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, because I think you have no idea what you have done for me with writing those comments. And with these videos, I finally can do what I normally do without the camera. Do you know what I mean? Sitting here and crafting together with you, that is just so relaxing. And doing these kind of videos brings me so much energy, and it also brings me time, because editing these videos takes not so much time than editing like a normal tutorial, yeah, where I want to press information into a short time so that you have a short video and only the main information about a technique or something like that. And these kind of craft along with me videos, they bring me not only joy and energy, but they save me so much time. And why can I do this? I can only do this because you understand my situation, and you have written, for example, I could do the easiest things and just, you know, like an easy normal kind of video, and you would be there and you would watch it. And I don't want to get emotional again, but that means the world to me, because that takes so much pressure off from my shoulders. That is just incredible. I have the problem that my brain works weird sometimes, and because of that I sometimes have ideas which I want to share with you, and it seems then that I am trying to find a new idea for each and every video, but that is somehow not the truth, because those ideas, they come automatically to my brain. I can't do anything against that. I mean, it's good, yeah, I'm happy, but sometimes it seems that I want to find a new idea for every single video, even if I don't want to find it, but it's just there. And when I had this crazy time last year, what is here? I think I did something wrong. Oh no, this is really close to each other. Let me just check the package here. It's oh, okay, it's touching each other. Everything is fine here. Okay. I lost my train. So, meaning, if I have ideas automatically, that is good, but it seems that perhaps I try to find a new idea with every single video, but it's automatically there. And that was always my reality. The ideas have been there automatically. And then there came this time where I couldn't come up with, like, you know, I couldn't even find the simplest ideas anymore. And because of that, this is just so relaxing for me that I can do it now here like this. This is good. This is really good. And this would also be really nice. I think both of these, I mean, this is not glued yet, but even without the black, this would work in my eyes, and this would be something unusual. You know, busy background, busy flower, monochromatic look. I will put this aside so that I can assemble that later, because I will go on with this one. And I want to decide if I want to put a black layer behind this as well or not. It would have been, if we want to turn this into a tuck spot, so that we can tuck a journaling card, for example, behind here, it would make sense to use this black layer, because then this whole thing gets more sturdy. And I also, you know, I have done this also to show you that you can cut out your die cuts also from normal paper. That, I mean, this is photo paper, yes, but it's 110 GSM, and that is not so extremely thick like, for example, watercolor paper, but it's possible. And if I want to glue it down completely, I could do it without the black layer, and this would get, you know, nice. It's a flat embellishment then, and I won't need this sturdiness of the black layer. But if I want to make a tuck spot out of this, would make sense to have the black layer there, but I think it's a little bit too much. Perhaps only a tiny bit offset, and not so much like on the other pieces here. Yeah, I think that is better. I'm really sorry, I have to press that down to be able to see how it would look if I would glue it down like this. Otherwise it would lift up and then the frame is bigger. Is this good? We could also think about first trying this. And now I'm really excited, because in my childhood I always tried to avoid chocolate that has these like zebra stripes because in my brain the chocolate that has these zebra pattern is not so delicious. I don't know why, but I mean, I guess it's because the chocolate in my childhood that looked like this was not so tasty. But now I'm really excited about this. Oh my goodness. It's with orange. My theory is true. I don't like orange in chocolate so much. Oh, zebra chocolate is nice, but it's also hard to handle. I can't say that I can't eat it, but it's definitely not my favorite. Then it's interesting. Do you also have a pattern of chocolate where you already know that you won't like the the taste of it? Does that have something to do with the pattern? I mean, really? That is crazy. So let's glue this down to have a final decision about that. I put the glue knot to the very edges so that they can be a little dimensional, and I will press this to my mat here to get the glue as flat as possible so that it can't squish out. Like this. And this is loose now, yes, it's, you know, separated, but because of the black layer it's no problem to turn this into a tuck spot, because then the paper will go behind the black, I mean the journaling card or something will go behind the black layer, and this will stay intact and it's not dangerous. So shall we add some stamping to our background before we glue this? Shall we do that? And shall we think about adding these little guys, or shall we just leave the flower there like it is? I mean, if we want to turn this into a tuck spot, we would definitely have to glue these guys down completely, so that nothing can't happen to them, that they can't be destroyed, but that would be no problem, of course. But I'm not so sure if I want to do that, to be honest. I don't want to cover up this flower there too much, and also here I like this space that it has there. Yeah. This would give a nice connection to these orange areas there, but it is at the same time really extremely orange, and it's a little bit distracting somehow. So let's perhaps, I mean, we can glue these later at any time we want. So let's perhaps first think about some stamping in the background. I'm thinking about something which could be used instead of these. I mean, it is nice to have the leaves here, but at the same time it's distracting because if they would be as calm as this is, meaning black, that could look even better than using these. I don't want to say that these are stupid or something, but in this case, I think I want to try something else. I want to take a look at my stamps and see what we could use. And I'm also thinking about a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of something like script. Don't be scared. I've just taken out this Halloween set, the obscure CMS 471, because there's this interesting plant. And even if this is really delicate and not so solid, I thought, I mean, this would add more busyness. I thought that this could be good. But I have also taken out my wildflower stamps, wildflowers, CMS 253. Both of these are by Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz, as you can guess, if you know me. And I'm thinking about a combination of this and this and this. Because I want to have something solid here on the bottom, which is like also like a little frame which makes this into, yeah, somehow a flow or something. So the position of this flower is relatively clear, I would say. Even if someone, and that really shocked me, the other day someone has written that I don't know how to use the word relatively, and I should please stop to use that word. But to be honest, I've asked Google and other helpful platforms, and I couldn't find my mistake. So I'm really sorry if I used that word wrong when the person has written that. I mean, since I have read the comment, I realized when I edit my videos and I hear myself talking for a second time, I mean, I hear myself now as well, then I also hear the words that I say more often because I thought I know them. You know, English is not my mother language. And then I realized that I say relatively often. But I wasn't, I mean, I didn't know that I, obviously used that wrong. I'm really sorry if I bother you with that word, but English is not my mother language, and it's really hard for me. And I try to learn new things every single day. Yeah, that's a fact. That is a fact. I came into this center of this flower with this stamp. That is okay, because this is little half now, this is half as well, and shall we then put this stamp on here so that this also gets half? Because now when I look at this, my eye goes to this center of the flower, and that is perhaps not the best thing. Perhaps I should stamp this like so that it gets a little cut off here as well. Oh, and while I'm stamping here, I have something that I need to say, because there have been so many comments about that as well, especially after my video where I talked about my struggles from last year. You have said that since I am a maker for Tim Holtz, there's a lot of pressure on my shoulders, like additional pressure. And I want to say that that is not true. I mean, yes, I have deadlines now, and that are deadlines that I haven't set for myself, but that someone else has given me. Yeah. So before I got a maker, I could make I could make my own deadlines, and if there have been problems with deadlines, I could just decide to do something little different. Now I can't do that anymore, and I have to, you know, have my makes finished when the deadline is. Yeah. But being a maker for Tim is for me like having free time. And I want to clarify that, because so many of you have said that it must be a lot of additional pressure, and that that could also be something that has to do with the problems I had last year. And I can say from the bottom of my heart that that is not true. It's just not true. First, when Tim asked me, I thought, oh my goodness, can I really handle that? I mean, it was always a goal to become a maker for him, and I did several different things, you know, on social media to make him find me and consider to ask me. But when he really asked me, I was like, okay, Louise, give this thing a good thought, even if you wanted to be a maker for such a long time. And of course, it was a really big change in my schedule, and I had to learn so many things. How do I have to do the things? And you know, there are several different things that you have to do a little differently than you would do it if you would, like, you know, make normal videos and that stuff, your own projects. If you do something for a brand, then of course you have to do several things to fulfill this assignment. But then there was this day, and that wasn't really bad. Yeah, those thoughts, they have never, not 1 second, they have never been bad. But it was like, you know, realizing that my life has changed. It's like your doctor tells you that you are pregnant. Yeah, it's like a little bit the same. And what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid that making for Tim changes anything. I'm still the same person, and this problem from last year has nothing to do with that. Nothing. And I have thought about that, of course, really, really well after reading your comments, because I thought, perhaps the people are right. Yeah, so I considered if you could be right with what you have said, or it was like, you know, perhaps it was also, yeah, it was perhaps more like a question you had, not something like a sentence which says it is pressure. Yeah, but I don't know how I can say that in English. But I'm 100% sure that that is not true, and that this being a maker for Tim doesn't influence the rest. Yeah. So I wanted to clarify that because many of you had thoughts about that, and you have been worrying about my situation a lot. And I think it's only fair when I then talk about that and tell you what's going on in my head. And of course, I want to also give you answers somehow to some of the questions you had. And of course, I wanted to react to those thoughts. And I really appreciate that there are people out there who think about me and have those thoughts. But I can tell you that working for those brands and doing those projects and doing the things for Tim, it's always like free time for me. Even if I make videos about that and I talk to you about my thoughts and my process, it's like, yeah, like this situation right now where I can sit here and I can talk to you and I can share my thoughts. It really helps me to talk about things that are in my head. You, as the people who watch my videos, give me the opportunity to grow in exactly this moment only by watching the video and giving me the chance to talk to you. If you won't watch the video, you know, this is my job, what I'm doing here, yeah, but and if you won't watch the videos, I would earn no money. I couldn't do this like I do it anymore. So it's really, yeah, it's you who make this possible, and I really, really appreciate that. And with the things I have to do for Tim, it's like, yeah, it's the same, somehow the same. I can sit there, I can talk to you, I can tell you what's going on in my brain while I'm doing something like this. That helps me to grow with my skills and everything. That helps me to get really clear about some decisions, what I'm doing here. And of course, it's a really big honor that I can do those things for Tim. And at the same time, it's so much fun, and it's just, for me, it's just playtime every single time. Even if I have deadlines and have to finish the things, you know, for a specific date, but yeah, it really, it doesn't influence the rest. I want to have some more black here, but how to do that now? I really like this, by the way. Do you also like it? Where does this black need to be? Here, somehow here. Let's just put a tiny little bit of this wildflower thing here. Here it looks really weird, but we don't care about that because we will cover that up in a second. Yeah, that's good. That is really harmonious now. And let's put a little bit of black here, just by taking this stamp again and doing it like this. Okie dokie, Mr. Chokey. And now I'm struggling because my brain, because for my German video I have also stamped with oxide ink to the background, but the die cut was a different one, and I've also used one of the alcohol inked journal backgrounds from my shop, but from the volume 1, so meaning from the other set. And this is what I have. Ooh, I'm sorry. This is what I have from the other video. Perhaps you can see it's the same idea. Yeah, well, please ignore the dragonfly here for a while. It's the same idea somehow, but a different die cut, these funky trees. And the stamping in the background is also really different. I don't know if you can see that here. I have stamped this alphabet and then this script, this ledger script-ish thing. And the stamping of the bigger letters was done with oxide ink, and I'm thinking about trying to do it the other way around, because when I mean on the other page I've stamped with oxide ink first and then the ink on top, meaning the ink got layered then on the oxide ink. But in this case, if I would stamp with oxide ink over here now, the oxide effect would be layered on the black here. Do I like that? Is that good? Or does that make it, you know, too busy? What we could try is, instead of stamping to the background, we could try to stamp to the flower. But perhaps we should have thought about that before assembling the flower. The script stamp was the one from Entomology, from the Entomology set. Let's see. And to be honest, you as my English viewers definitely have always the harder job to watch these videos, because normally, because that is easier for me, I record the German video first, because, you know, German is my mother language, and I can, yeah, it's easier for me to talk in German than in English. And if I try something like this, which I've never done before in this way, then it's easier for me to first explain my thoughts in German, and then I have already done it and seen what happened, and then it's easier to do it in English then. But that also means I know what happened in the German video when I record my English video, and that can be really, you know, hard to watch, because I know what happened in the German video, and I really don't know what I want to do here now. I mean, let's talk about the facts. This chocolate has orange, and every chocolate that has this zebra look is not my favorite chocolate, but this is good. You need chocolate to get clear about what you want to do. We want to have this really matchy-matchy, so that the flower gets extremely embedded somehow into the background. I think we have this here already. Here, the contrast between these tree heads here and the background is way bigger than what we have here. Can you see that? Even with this black, the contrast here, I mean not contrast, that is not the right word. The contrast between the black and the colors is there, and it's extreme. But the colors of the flower and the background are not so different intensity-wise than here. Meaning the trees come out really, really extremely here somehow. But I don't know if I want this here. If I want that, I could even stamp more details in black into this area here, so that the flower really comes out. But then I would lose the colors of my background, and it would be probably too busy. If I would stamp with oxide ink over the black, the contrast would get less, because the oxide would sit on the black. And the black would then get lighter, meaning not so much contrast anymore between the flower and this. If I stamp to the flower, we get busy details, if I can say it like that. And I don't know if that looks great, because we already have these tiny flowers from the Halloween stamp set. But if I want to have something like this on here, I could try to use oxide ink and just stamp there, just stamp there where these really light areas are, so that we get this like chalky effect we also got on these pieces. I think that should be no problem. Let's see that. I mean, not only no problem, but it should look good. So let's take a little bit of Kitsch Flamingo. Oh, yes. But, yeah, no. It's just, I accidentally stamped to the black there. But this is, you know, that is the right amount of stamping there. Can you see that? I'm feeling silly because this is, I mean, it's only just the tiniest bit, but that is good. That is really good. But I want to have that somehow. Shall we let that? Yeah, let's stamp that perhaps a little bit parallel to the other thing. Here it shows up better, and that is good, I think. Perhaps a little bit here. Yeah. That makes it somehow a little more artsy. What do you think? Okay, that is enough. Louise, don't do too much to this. Do you know what my biggest problem is? That I always think it needs something else, and then when I add this something else, I don't like it anymore. That happened to me like a little bit to on the page of from the German video. There I added some shadows with Stabilo oil pen. So this, what you can see here, is not a black paper layer, but it was made with a pen and then using water. And I did that in the very end, and I liked it here on the top. It connected the top with this, but I did it here as well, where now this white line is, and that was just too much. And when I finished the video and I looked at this again, I was like, why have I done that? It was absolutely not necessary. And then I added this white line, and now it's like this, but I can see that I can improve this, and that's what I want to try here. Because why shall I do the same thing twice? But that also means that sometimes it's just, you know, it's too much what you add. I say you because, you know, I mean, I say you even if I talk about myself here at the moment. But perhaps you have experienced something like that as well. But this is just the right amount. It's not too visible, but it makes the flower more interesting. Okay. I think I should step back from this for a few minutes. Because I also want to think about if I want to add a little bit of ink around the page itself. Woo! Holy moly, what do you want here? Where's my page now? Can someone please tell me where my page is? Oh my goodness, this is like Groundhog Day. That happened to me in the German video as well. I couldn't find my page anymore. Was this green page where this little like paper bag thing was on the other side. Here. Whoa, it looks so different when it's in the journal, but it's at the same time suddenly so much more interesting because of this green now. But I'm thinking if we shall give this a frame, like, you know, with inking. Okay, so I have just had a little break. I wanted to take this and go with the rest of Kitsch Flamingo I have here. And oh, that is not enough. Just in some spots where we already have this color, just to give this a little bit of a frame somehow. I don't want to go in with blue here on the bottom because I think that is weird, because we don't have blue ink on the flower. So let's just use Kitsch Flamingo here as well. That was probably confusing what I just said, because here is not this purple, pink. And what if we just do this here also, without, you know, paying attention to the colors? I think that looks great. I was thinking to use like an orange here, but why? I mean, this is nice. Just for, you know, a little bit of interest. I don't want to get the eye distracted from the page, because I think sometimes when you ink around a whole page, I mean, I could have used, for example, green for inking this, or a deep purple or something, but I think in this case this is totally enough. It looks a little bit artsy then, but it's not, I mean, it's not just the naked paper. It has a little bit of something, but not too much. I think that's perfect. I'm going to glue this down with double-sided tape just because it's easy. And I will put the tape only around the edges here to make the page not too stiff. You could alternatively use some glue, of course, and just go around the edges with the glue, a thin line. I've learned this trick from Barbara at 49 Dragonflies. She is doing that in her, she does that in her planners when she glues down her digital paper into her planner. Then she, I'm sorry, she puts the glue also only around the edges of the page to make the whole page not too thick and not too stiff. And that is a cool trick. Thank you, Barbara. Also that's also a good trick for altered books, for example, where you have the original pages from the book and then you glue something to the pages. Then it's really helpful, because now look, the page is still flexible, and that would be the same if you would use liquid glue around here, of course. While I had my break, I thought an alternative or an additional thing could also be to emboss the flower with clear embossing powder to make it pop out a little more. Come on, let's try it. Why are we here? Where's my embossing tray? Let's try that. I have to be careful with dabbing on the embossing ink because of the oxide ink here, which I've used for stamping. Okay. Shall we try to get this either only to the edges or only to the top, or like only-ish to the Don't think about it. Just do it. Yeah, do it randomly, Louisa. Okay, I realize that that is not good. The felt of my dabber is a little dirty. I need to buy a replacement for this thing. Okay, now it's clean again, but it's perhaps also not so bad to have this little like schmutz there. If you have embossing glaze, that could also be a nice thing. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I've just grabbed the wrong container. Oh my goodness, this is white embossing powder. That's not a good idea, Louisa. That's really not even a good idea. Where's my clear embossing powder? Holy cow. Oh my goodness, this is, I mean, that happens so often to me because, I mean, look, this looks so similar. Clear. That is what we want to have. What I was trying to say is, if you have embossing glaze, you could also emboss this with, for example, purple or pink or something. That could look nice as well. And you could also do that to intensify the colors in some areas. I think that can look really great. The clear embossing powder will do like a similar thing, but it's just an illusion, I would say, because, you know, this is going to turn clear now when I melt this, and then you have this illusion that the flower is wet somehow, and with that there comes this like second illusion that the colors are more intense, but of course they don't really are, compared to using embossing glaze, where, you know, the medium, it has the color already. If you use purple or pink embossing glaze on here, then you have a color instead of clear embossing powder on this, and of course that's different. But I think in this case this would be too much for me, because I still want to have this like monochromatic look in the end, and with intensifying these colors with glaze, I would destroy my own idea somehow. But this is cool. Yeah, and that makes it stand out from the background also a little bit more than before. Perhaps in the camera it's not so visible, but with, you know, with looking at it with your eyes, you can really see that. Okay, so then let's glue this down, but let's have in mind that we want to put something behind here later, like a tag, for example. What a coincidence that I have some here. That is really coincidence. Like this, for example. Then we would have to glue it here and here and here, or even I like that it comes out here and that you can see it here, but how to attach the flower, that is still possible in the end. Then I would have only these three little, and this, yeah. Let's leave this glue free and let's only put it to these petals here. But then I guess I have to use liquid glue instead of tape. Holy moly. Okay, so then it's this one. By the way, this is bookbinder's glue. I like to use bookbinder's glue on this matte photo paper because it dries really fast and it doesn't warp the paper. Okay. Then I think this also needs some splatters. And since this is green and this is not green, I want to choose the splatters in a color that makes sense on both of these pages here, so that I can splatter a little bit to the flower and perhaps like so, and then let the splattering go to the other page as well. We could use white, even if we know that the white splatters here will probably turn into a little like rosé color because of the oxide ink below. Here it would stay white, and here it would also get stained because of the mediums I've used for making this green. And I also think that white is not good. Black, let's start with black. I'm thinking about gold somehow, but let's start with black. Let's first add the tiniest amount of black splatters to connect, or to make the center of the flower more alive here. I will splatter a little bit here as well, so that these flowers get some splatters as well, and I will do the same to the right here, and I will also splatter to the other page, but here I use a little more paint to get this more visible. This is just some acrylic paint, black acrylic paint mixed with water. So that is good. That is really good. But I'm dreaming about oh no. Oh no, I'm sorry. Some more visible splatters, especially here on this page, because it's so dark. The green is really dark. But what? I mean, gold could be a problem solver in this case, but where's the connection to this? I mean, this is relatively, I already said it again. When I say this is relatively yellowish, is that then correct, the correct use for relatively or not? Because in German I would say, das ist schon relativ gelb. Und auch hier ist es relativ gelb. It's relatively yellowish. I can't see the reason why I can't use that in English, that word. But perhaps you can help me. And can you please scream something? What shall I use here? I mean, if I use gold, then we have this like shiny surface of the splatters. Is that then really visible? Does it connect the yellow-ish colors here? Or shall we perhaps use something which is like more this color, like dried marigold? This looks really like dried marigold distress paint. Yeah. I want to have a color which is not black and not white, but that is in here. And I don't want to use blue because, look, the blue has a diagonal flow here. And to balance that, the like third blue thing, 1, 2, the third thing is here, makes it really harmonious. If I now use blue, which is, you know, I would have to take some really dark blue, then you can't see the difference to the black. If I use light blue, it's like too, you know, if I would use this blue, I think that would look really not so nice. And the blue in the background would also get lost somehow. Oh, let's try it. And in this moment, I can really feel that I haven't had breakfast yet. I've just put a little bit of the paint here to my mat. Sorry, you can't see that. And I'm hoping that, I mean, here where the oxide ink is, the dried marigold paint will now get stained perhaps a little bit as well. I'm hoping that it will be not too extremely different than in the other areas. Let's see. Ah, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. I do this. That looks a little bit weird because it looks much here. But I do that to connect the pages because you can see this color here and now here. And imagine you write something on this page later, even if I don't decorate this little thing and this, you have this connection color-wise in between of these pages. That's the reason why I do that. And when you do that and you think, oh, that is a lot, I do that to get this color, right? Like really, you know, to this page. It gets a little more subtle, I guess, when I dry this, because of the treatment of this paper. The paint soaks into the paper a lot, so you will see some of these splatters will get really, yeah, nearly translucent when I dry this now, so that they are not so extreme anymore. But I mainly do that to get a connection between the pages, and later on when this is like filled with journaling or you decorate that, then this is not so extreme anymore. But that way you don't have to take out this color later again. You just, you know, do it in this step and then you have it for later already. Yeah. Oh my goodness, this is cool. I want to add a sentiment. I've already taken out this Small Talk by Tim Holtz Ideology. And now there's this question: white or black? And where? And we still have, where are my, here. We still have these little guys here, these leaves. I'm just thinking we could even make a connection between this and this by adding one of the leaves here and add the quote also here, because I'm not sure if it's good to put the quote on the flower here. That could perhaps destroy the flower. For the German video, I've used one of these dragonflies. I also have this in mind. This is the package. I have never seen something like this before. Perhaps you can find something like this online. Don't know. 3 Stück Papier. 3 pieces made from paper for decorating and creating gifts, cards, and much more. For example, something like this. But I think in this case, it's just too big, even if it's gorgeous. This dragonfly is just gorgeous. But in this case, it covers up a lot. No matter where we put it, it's just too much. In my eyes, this is just too much. It would destroy everything. This could be a solution, but I don't want to do it. But what we could think about is to let to let the dragonfly come from here. somehow. And then put the sentiment on her body. Thinking if that is good, because when you then flip the page, this tiny page, this is in the air. I mean, this is really sturdy, even if the package says it's paper. It feels sturdy. Yeah, and this. What about doing it? Oh, I've never thought about something like that. What about gluing her like this? Then she would be completely on the, or nearly completely on the page, and then add the sentiment here to her body. And we could then add these little guys behind her to give her this color as well, and we could turn her into something like a flower as well, meaning an abstract flower, because, you know, look, can you see? The colors of the leaves are not pinkish enough. What else do we have here? We have this one. And we still have this flower. Which would match better color-wise. We could also solve the problem that this is then not so fragile if this is glued to the flower, or because I really liked this idea of having the part of the body of the dragonfly here in the air. I mean, like this, and then, you know, this is like a little tab or something, because the page ends here. So why don't we take this, put that here, put the dragonfly here, and fold this flower where the page ends, like this. And then we can, because this is the closed side of this little vellum bag, then we could put this around here, because this is it's just a page, it's not a pocket. Then we would have this on the other side, and we would have these little white things. I will quickly make them blue. Okay. I think now I have it. Yeah, okay, so then we can, I will glue this down, but I think I will glue it only here where the fold is, so that we could use this then as a tuck spot later as well. And it gives a little more dimension. when it's not glued down completely. You know, then this is gives this natural shadow as well. Dragonfly. And I want to try to arrange these leaves behind here somehow, but how? The contrast is not so extreme. But I also don't want to cut black layers for these leaves, because I want this to be like, you know, I just think, does that really make sense, what I'm saying now? Because if I want to connect this, then we would need some black here somehow. But let's try to get that with stamping instead of cutting the leaves. Where is my wildflower? I'm also wondering how such a small page, I mean, this is not the biggest project in the world, is it? How can such a small page take so much time on the one hand and make such a mess on your table on the other hand? Because it looks here like, I don't know, something really bad has happened to my desk somehow. And that is something, have you seen that Barbara at 49 Dragonflies has had a different camera angle in some of her recent videos? And when she shows her desk from, what is happening here? Oh no, my tape is coming off from the heat. When she has filmed her table from another angle, so that is really interesting, I think. And because normally you would see this like top view and nothing else, but I realized how tidy her table is, even when she's recording and making videos. And that is something that confuses me a little bit, Barbara. That is really, really confusing, because I don't know how to do that. It's impossible for me to do something like that. Because if I would turn my camera into a different angle, then you would probably get shocked. I want this to be a dragonfly flower. Mann, wie geht denn das? Was muss ich denn jetzt machen, dass das gut aussieht? Mensch, das schaut nicht gut aus. First of all, let's cut off these. Let's rip them off. I don't need these little steps. Was muss man machen, dass das gut aussieht? That's weird. And it would be even more weird if we would have black layers below these leaves. That would look totally weird. Perhaps we should just leave them out and just do it like this and be happy that this color and this color is the same. Perhaps. Let's take this stamp. Which color have I used here? Was this was Kitsch Flamingo, I think. So let's try to get a connection with the stamping here as well, and perhaps I will even stamp a little bit to the green, so that there's a bit of this color as well. this. Yeah, I think that is totally enough. And if we now use a black sentiment, I mean white letters on black background instead of this, then I think we get also this kind of outlined feeling that we have here somehow. This can't be too long. I think I want to take Be Your Beautiful Self. That somehow fits really well to the whole situation in the moment and to this February, oh no, series. We need to leave the, oh my goodness, this is perhaps a little bit too long. I thought it could fit, but look, when I do it like this, then I would cover up her head, and that of course is not so good. But oh no, this is totally different than I thought. I would have to glue that somehow like this, so that the body is, yeah, we need to do it like this so that the body is still visible. But for that I have to back the sticker with something else so that it is not sticky anymore. Green, brown, what? Black. I think I need black. So because I'm going to use black because I don't want this to how can I say that? This body of the dragonfly is white, and if I use another color for backing this and leaving a little frame, then it could be really disturbing somehow. Now I have a black frame around a black quote. That is a little weird, but this is calm now somehow, and I have the chance to now stick this behind here and glue the body like so. Yeah, that is what I want to do. So I have to take this first to attach the dragonfly to the quote. This has to be straight, please. And with the black paper behind, I also get a tiny little bit more, surface to glue, because the end of the body is now glued only to the frame and not to this sticker itself. No, oh no, it's stuck. Oh no. Oh my goodness. So then we have to glue it here, but the quote has to be in the air, and it's a little bit crooked. No, oh no. Okay, so then what do we want? The dragonfly, like, you know, straight and the quote wonky, or no, I will glue it that the quote is straight. Meaning like this, and then the glue can go until here. And I will put the glue on the dragonfly only here in the middle, so that the wings can give us a little dimension as well by being in the air a little bit. This looks weird, but when it's dry, this gets completely clear. And since the dragonfly is white, I want to connect the color of the dragonfly with the background as well, a little bit, by adding some white splatters. And with that, we also have the chance to connect this tiny page with this from this direction. With adding this, we have, yeah, somehow in my brain it's connected from here to there. But with the white splatters, we can also connect it from here to there, because we can take the splatters and put them, take the splatters, that's probably not good. Put them here around the dragonfly, a few here, to bring more interest to this page and to connect the white of the dragonfly with this, even if I know that the splatters here will turn, you know, a little greenish. But let's splatter a little bit to the other page as well, to bring the white to this page, but only perhaps until here or so, just a tiny little bit. Just like, ooh, this is perfect. Just like that. I hope that makes sense. And now I definitely need breakfast. By the way, it's nearly 2 p.m. here, and I haven't had breakfast. But that's totally fine, because I had a lot of fun with you. And as I said before, this really helps me, and that you are here with me and that you allow me to do these kind of videos really, really helps me in so many different ways, and I'm so thankful that it is like it is. And this tape sucks. I'm sorry. But it also sticks again when you press it down. So I hope you could get some inspiration from this. I hope that you had a nice time together with me by watching this video and crafting something else, or along with me, or drinking coffee, or whatever you have done while you've watched this. And I'm really hoping that we can keep what we already have, and that we can go on with sharing what we share in those kinds of videos in our community with junk journaling. There are so many things that are so positive about this whole thing, that I really hope that we can keep this, and that we can go on sharing these amazing things. And if you like this alcohol inked paper, you can find it in my shop. The links are down below in the description box. I'm really, really excited what you will tell me about this and what you think about this. And if this is something you want to use for your own journals as well or not. So have a very, very great day and see you the next time. Bye bye.